I've got a trick for you. It's more Arkham Horror, the card game card reviews on Optimal Play. That was possibly the worst intro I've ever done, but I'm going to keep going. I'm Brandon.
I'm Steven.
Hi, Steven. How are you tonight?
Pretty good.
Yeah, we're almost there. We're almost there. I'm we're planning on, I think, in this sitting, it'll be 3 different videos, but finishing the Innsmouth box, which I think means that as soon as we celebrate being like finally caught up, the taboo list will drop. I feel like the cruel fates will not let us be caught up for long, but
But
what are you
I'm
gonna do?
pretty sure that FFG was not going to release it until we did these videos. So, like, everyone can thank us for getting these
Oh,
videos done so that they can release the taboo list.
oh, is that what happened? They were waiting on us.
Yeah.
Oh, that was actually pretty thoughtful, and we hold a terrifying amount of power that I didn't know about.
I mean, I had a feeling.
Well, that makes one of us. All right, well, if our card reviews are the thing keeping Mr. Rook overpowered, then without further ado, the Mystic Investigator is Dexter Drake, the Magician. Finally, the one true Mystic, the actual magician. I assume he goes by like Drake the Magnificent. I don't know that I've read his Investigators of Arkham story. I checked the back of his card. There's no stage name, but I feel like he must have one. So, yeah, let us know in the comments what Dexter's stage name is. But he has 5 willpower, 2 intellect, 3 combat, 2 agility. He's a sorcerer and a veteran. And as a fast action during your turn, discard an asset you control. Play an asset with a different title from your hand, reducing its cost by 1. Limit once per round. And his Elder Sign effect is +2. You may return an asset from your play area to your hand, then draw 1 card. Do you want to see true magic? He has 6 health, 8 sanity. So this is actually not brand new content. I didn't buy the book, but he was out as a promo investigator in a book earlier, I think. I think the most recent book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't played him. I guess I don't. Have you played him yet in his promo form, or do you have other first
I
impressions of his ability?
My friend Pat, Blue HD on Discord, you might have seen his alt arts. He's playing Dexter in a campaign that I'm in. So I've seen him a bit. That ability is really strong.
It seems like it.
Because you've not only got the obvious things like, oh, I'm going to take a shriveling that's run out of charges and I'm going to put a Rite of Seeking out instead,
Mm-hmm.
but you've also got like all the Doom stuff, like Alyssa Graham and
Ooh, yeah.
David Renfield, Arcane Initiate, like all of those. You can get rid of the Doom.
It's interesting. Are all the Doom cards allies? I guess mostly.
No,
Like
you
Dave
could play
Vermis.
Devermis,
Yeah,
Mysteris too.
that's right.
So yeah, I mean it's just a really strong ability. And he has perfectly fine stats too. Like he's got the 5 will that you want
Yep.
in a Mystic. 6/8 is a good health sanity line for Mystic, so
I
not
mean,
really a downside.
yeah. The kind of the par investigator ability is usually you get like one of something, one clue, one card, one resource more than you normally would, and this is a free action to play an asset and a 1 discount on that asset. So it's 2 actions worth of stuff. With the caveat being you got to kind of build your deck around frequently taking advantage of it, but seemingly potentially very powerful. His deck building is 30 cards with Mystic cards up to level 5, Rogue cards level 0 through 2, and neutral cards. So he's okay. We didn't have. Oh well, we had a multi-class Rogue Mystic in Safina. This is the Bizarro Safina.
Yeah.
And he's asset centric instead of event centric. They really are polar opposites, aren't they?
So yeah, I think Rogue brings a lot of kind of money tricks. If you want to play things like High Roller and Well Connected, um,
Hmm.
those can help you maybe investigate successfully once per turn, or some other evade, something that you're normally not good at. Um, you don't have to play them; like you could just focus on Mystic, but I think they're decent.
Yeah, he can run. Oh, I guess Rogue still doesn't have that many spells. I'm thinking like Suggestion is maybe their biggest one that has charges and kind of works a lot like a Mystic spell, and he might want to blow through the charges and then discard it. I can't really think of what else Rogue brings to the table in that respect. There's that new Dark Ritual to seal curses. I guess he can. we don't really have a good handle yet on how Mystic interacts with blessings and curses. So actually, maybe that's a Dexter card. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we did see in the last pack there was the Rogue card that literally had Dexter on it that prevented attacks of opportunity.
Yeah, Obfuscation, I think was what that was. Yeah, that was one that I presumed would be a Dexter card. I actually still have it here on the table in front of me because I'm a slob and didn't clean up from our previous recording. Yeah, that's the one that says, spends a charge when an enemy makes an attack of opportunity against you to cancel that attack. It is fast, the Obfuscation itself is, which kind of means you're not taking advantage of his fast speed asset play if you're using that. But other than that...
But he has to play some assets from hand. Like, he's not only using that, because that fast ability only works when you already have assets out.
I guess that's true. You have to, if you want to increase your total number of assets, you have to play them the old-fashioned way. Good point.
And that is an arcane slot, though, right?
Yes, it is.
So that's like the biggest downside is like, do you want to use one of your arcane slots for Dexter? Maybe. But I think he's certainly going to want to play Shriveling and Rite of Seeking and maybe Mists of R'lyeh.
Yeah, he does seem like the most obvious way by far is to play him with those standard Mystic asset spells and just rotate through them, getting to really just blow through their charges. Kind of maybe you just get to be more. You put more of them into your deck, especially now that we have Shriveling and Azure Flame, so you can have 4 copies of your attack spell and Rite of Seeking and Clairvoyance. So you can really load your deck up with those more than we could before the Jacqueline starter deck came out. And then, just use up those charges with Reckless Abandon. You don't have to ration them in the same way you usually do because he can just sub in a new one right away.
He's very similar to Akachi, who has an ability that helps her charges last longer, and then a signature that lets her reuse assets. So, maybe the Rogue, whether you want to build Rogue, will be the deciding factor in terms of whether you want to use Akachi or Dexter.
Right. Well, we haven't looked at the whole picture yet, and his signature cards are going to be different than when he was a promo in the book. So what's he got?
Showmanship is a 1-cost asset, Fist, Agility, and Wild Icons. It's a talent, and reaction, after an asset enters play under your control, until the end of the round, you get +2 to each of your skills while resolving a triggered ability on that asset.
Oh, okay. So he puts a rogue gun into play, or a mystic spell, and then that turn, if he uses it, he gets +2 each time.
Yeah, so you could put a Shriveling out, and a regular Shriveling becomes a Shriveling level 3 for the entire turn.
Essentially, yeah. And can we just, thinking about that, and like, so one obvious thing is, because he can play them at fast speed, he has his full turn's worth of actions to take advantage of this, right? If he plays them using his ability.
Yeah.
And then also, that's super valuable for fighting, too. Being able to drop an attack spell while enemies are already on you, because you can do it fast. That's huge. I think that's going to be a big part of his value, if you're building him to be a fighter.
Yeah, this seems like pretty strong signature. I guess it means assets that are passive are not quite as valuable, but you tend to only want a few of those in Dexter anyway because you want things that run out.
Yeah, I would not have wanted to fill my deck up with too many of those anyway. Also, this doesn't work as well with assets that exhaust, right? Talents and even lockpicks and that kind of thing. They don't get the this still gives them a boost for 1 test, so it's not useless, but it doesn't let him spam them to get +6.
Dexter's actually quite bad for lockpicks. He's 2 and 2. So.
Oh, good point. You add his skills together, and he only gets to 4 with lockpicks. Okay, yeah, maybe leave the lockpicks behind for Dexter. Yikes! Yeah. Well, he's also got to deal with Occult Scraps, a 0-cost asset weakness. That's an item, and it says it cannot be played using a play action. While Occult Scraps is in your hand, you get -2 willpower. While Occult Scraps is in play, you get -1 willpower. Okay, so what you want to do is use his power, discard an asset to play this, and then discard this to play something else.
Yeah.
To fully get rid of it.
Interesting.
So it like soaks up 2 uses of his ability. But it doesn't cost you any resources. It doesn't cost you any actions. It just penalizes you some willpower for a little while and ultimately costs you an asset from play. But you're kind of building lots of expendable assets anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that bad.
No, I think it's interesting. I think it's actually kind of like it sets you up to need to make some interesting decisions. And then yeah, and yeah, it doesn't seem too brutal. I like it.
Yeah.
This is a good example of a weakness that like plays into an investigator shtick in an interesting way, but doesn't completely ruin it like Harvey's weakness does.
Yeah, totally. So the first Mystic card is Sword Kane, a 2-cost asset.
All right, stop right there. One of the best card names. Rogue normally gets the cool card names, but come on, it's a Sword Kane. This is all right. Continue. I just had to rave about that.
Yeah, 2-cost asset, fist icon, item, relic, weapon, and melee.
Wow.
And then playing it does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Which makes sense because, you know, obviously like you ambush the old blind guy and he just like takes out the Sword Cane, surprises you. As a fast reaction, after Sword Cane enters play, immediately trigger its click ability without paying its cost. And then its click ability is exhaust Sword Cane. To fight or evade, you may use your will in place of fist or agility for this attack or evasion attempt.
Weird.
Why?
Okay. Fight or evade.
Why do the whole does not provoke attacks of opportunity, and then after it enters play, you get to use the attack ability without paying cost? Why not just make it fast? Isn't that a much simpler way to accomplish that?
Yeah, for the most part. The difference here is that this is only like quote unquote fast if you then immediately use it. It's not fast if you like try to drop it on a turn that you're just going to draw some cards or move locations.
I guess also the first turn you play it, you get to use it twice, and every other turn you can only use it once.
Oh, because without paying its cost means it doesn't exhaust, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
it still seems like a really complicated way to like where they could have said fast and it'd be pretty similar.
You're right. It is a lot of text for something that is very similar to something that we have a keyword for. And then we haven't seen this templating before either. I think this like fight/evade. I guess the following text where it says attack or evasion attempt means that this does mean choose fight or evade.
Yeah.
And I guess that this only. I'm trying to think. Wait, what actions does like Frozen in Fear penalize? It's fight, move. Does it penalize evade? I'm wondering like does only. Of these 2 bold modifiers, does only the one you choose apply for things that care, like whether you fight?
I would think so.
Yeah. You're probably right. Yeah, I think that's the most intuitive thing. It's just fight or evade. I almost wish that they had just taken the 2 extra characters of text to say fight or evade, but
yeah.
Oh well.
I feel like 90% of the time I would use this to evade. Like fighting for 1 damage is never super exciting.
No, it's not. It is pretty standard for like mystic weapons to have as kind of a baseline, because you have like Spirit of Thame,
and Diana's blade.
Yeah. So I think that's just. I think in order for it to be a weapon, it kind of has to have some kind of baseline fight, and so that's what a lot of these get.
Guess, I mean, Twilight Blade is useful for like those odd damage enemies where it's like I don't want to use another shriveling charge, but I would rather use my will than my fist. So I guess there are edge cases where it's nice.
Yeah, and the fact that you're using your willpower here means like he's attacking at a 5. He can take out some acolytes with this. Mm-hmm. He being Dexter. Obviously, it's not only for Dexter. Okay. And then we've got... now I see some curse and blessing icons on here. Tides of Fate. The 1-cost event that's a spell, and it's blessed, and it says fast. Play during any player window, or at the... Why does this icon even go here? Why doesn't it just say play during any window? What other... It doesn't have to specify what kind of window. There's no other windows in this game. Anyway.
Well, I mean, there's windows on houses and churches and dungeons, like...
Anyway, yeah, I don't mean to keep derailing this into like card templating talk with Brandon and Steven. But anyway, play during any window or at the start of the round. Replace all curse tokens in the chaos bag with an equal number of blessing tokens. At the end of the round, replace all blessing tokens in the chaos bag with an equal number of curse tokens. Huh. Okay. So if you've crammed the bag full of curses, this gives you 1 round to turn them all into blessings and hopefully draw as many of them as possible so they don't return as curses.
Yeah, it's like kind of a cool combo card. Like, have a little curse there. But yeah, I mean, if you have a bunch of effects that maybe produce curses, but then other players have effects that benefit from blessings, you can really, ramp up the number of blessings for a turn, and maybe you end up using them all or taking so much advantage of them over the course of the turn that it's not a big deal if some of them turn into curses at the end.
Yeah, you can... Yeah, we haven't seen anything else from Mystic that use these yet, so I don't know if there's anything else currently in my hand that will make this make sense, but to me it seems like you have to build kind of a multiplayer team around making this work. Like to me, I'm like, play this in a 3-player game where you have someone, a seeker, dumping curses into, or seeker or rogue, I think we saw both dump curses in the chaos bag, but then convert them into blessings so that your guardian can play, was it Rite of Sanctification, the thing that seals all the blessings and then spends them for discounts.
Yeah.
And I think that if you seal those blessings while they are blessings, they're gonna never turn back into curses.
Definitely, yeah.
Right?
Well, as long as you don't spend them this turn, they would not.
Correct. Yeah. But if they're sealed on a card and not in the bag at the end of the turn, then they will be returned to the bag and stay blessings when they do eventually. That seems good.
It's worth noting that if you don't do anything, this is always bad for the number of tokens. Like, if you start with 5 curses and 5 blesses, if you play this, you now have 10 blessings. If you were to, for some reason, just take resources for the rest of the turn, it now converts 10 blessings into curses. So it's a net negative if you don't do anything.
Yeah, so you probably don't play this with a Sister Mary in your party because there's always going to be some blesses in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, unless the Sister Mary is using so many blessings, it has so many effects that use them that, you don't.
Yeah, but I don't think we've seen that many though, other than Rite of Sanctification.
Yeah, it might require the entire Innsmouth card pool for that kind of thing to be possible.
Yeah, maybe we'll get there 6 packs from now. Cool, I like it.
Yep. So, Ward of Radiance. Ooh, that sounds a lot like one of my favorite cards, Ward of Protection. A 0-cost event, Will and Agility icons, Insight and Blessed. Fast. Play when an investigator at your location draws a non-weakness treachery card. Reveal 5 random chaos tokens from the chaos bag. If a Bless or Elder Sign token is revealed, cancel that treachery card's revelation effect.
Wait a minute. Ward of Protection is one of your favorite cards?
Yeah.
The card that says, I want to play a little less Arkham this turn, is one of your favorite cards.
Who wants to play Arkham?
I don't know. I always look at cancel cards as like, they're very strong and I play them sometimes, but I wouldn't want... Like, I'm actually not that big a fan of Diana because I don't think that canceling the challenges the game is presenting at me is the funnest way to address them.
So in competitive Netrunner, we have a motto which is buy, sweep, ID, which means that I win the first round because I've won a previous tournament. I play 1 round and I sweep that, and then I do an intentional draw in the last rounds. Basically the goal being to play as little Netrunner as possible, because then you don't have chances to lose. And I feel like cancels are the same way. It's like I have buys through the treachery phase with this phase.
All right. I feel like I'm learning a lot about you, Steven. Have you ever actually played a living card game? I'm starting to wonder.
As little as possible.
All right. Well, this one lets you play less Arkham if you have played kind of a lot of Arkham already by putting a lot of blessings into the Chaos bag.
Or a lot of Elder Signs.
Or a lot of Elder Signs, yeah. I don't think we've yet had the deluxe box that gives us 10 more Elder Signs to start throwing in the bag, but maybe someday.
Isn't there like a camp? Is there a campaign where easy mode or something has 2 Elder Signs?
There's only one Elder Sign in one core set, and so the game never ever uses more than one. I don't think that that's ever been untrue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I was surprised when I first opened the core set. Like I was familiar from previews and stuff with I was familiar with Arkham and with the Chaos bag. I was surprised to see only one Elder Sign and only one auto fail, because that means that there is never the design space to add more of either one. So I was, yeah. Although now that we've seen that boxes can add more tokens, I guess that design space is back in play someday. Anyway, yeah. So how do you think this compares to your favorite card?
I mean, 0 cost and no horror, and starts with the it starts with the ability to affect other investigators. So that's already 3 advantages. But
over level 0 ward protection.
Yeah. But there's a chance it doesn't work. So I mean, obviously,
it's pretty big downside.
I mean, I think this is a very good Sister Mary card. Like, I think this is actually showing us a reason to play her that I didn't necessarily see when I just saw only the Guardian cards.
Right, yeah.
So she can take this out the box.
Yeah, that's a good point. We are looking at Sister Mary options here. She might like the Sword Cane, too. She's got okay combat to start with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, her will is only 1 over her attack and agility. So it's not quite... I think it might be better for Dexter. But I think this definitely would be a 2-of in any Sister Mary deck that I built.
Yeah, I think I have to agree. It makes perfect sense there. I'm curious, at what point, how many blessings do you think you need in the bag? So we're not going to sit here and crunch too many numbers, but like, how many blessings would you want there to be in the bag in order to play this?
Probably like 4. Your odds are pretty decent. Like, there's normally 16, so that means that 4 out of 20. So it'd be 1 out of 5. So like, that's not guaranteed.
No.
But it's at least decent enough that if it was a bad treachery, I would do it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I'd be always trying to keep the bag as full of blessings as possible if I knew these were in my hand. But yeah, I probably would be reluctant to play it with less than 4 or 5 blessings, because it's a real miss. If you play this, you've wasted this card that can be very powerful if it doesn't hit. Has there not been a card yet called Promise of Power? Moving on to the next card. It's a mystic skill. Wow, there must just be Promise of Powers in other Arkham games, because this strikes me as the most like familiar name. This is a 4 willpower, or excuse me, 4 wild skill.
Even
that
better.
Is practiced and cursed. And after you commit Promise of Power to a skill test, add 1 curse token to the Chaos bag. If you cannot, take 2 horror instead. Wow, that's funny that apparently the game designers think it's likely enough that all 10 curses will already be in the bag that it needs an if you cannot clause. Okay, that's ominous. I love it. I think this is awesome.
Yeah, this seems pretty good to me, especially now that we're seeing ways to maybe turn that into a positive, like turning that curse into a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this seems like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I am a little bit of a troll at heart, so playing all these strong cards we've seen, this is in 3 classes now. We saw the draw cards event in Seeker and the resource event, Faustian Bargain in Rogue. I can't remember the name of the draw cards event. But this is our 3rd option to do powerful things in exchange for putting curses in the bag that, honestly, if you're playing multiplayer, probably you won't be the one to draw them. So
it's also practiced. So I don't think I've ever seen the Seeker Mystic combo, aside from maybe Mandy, play practice makes perfect. But I think this gives you a lot more chance of that hitting now. So
Well, don't forget
maybe
that
Daisy.
don't forget
Yeah.
that Amanda Sharp can play practiced cards in her deck building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got Amanda Sharp, Mandy, Luke Robinson, Daisy, and Norman could all play practice makes perfect to find this. So I think it could see a decent amount of play.
Sorry, I'm grinning ear to ear because I just realized how this works with Amanda Sharp. You tuck it under her, you commit it to all her tests that turn, 3 curses in the bag, and you blow away your 3 tests.
Well, so now we have to see. So Tides of Fate replaces the curses to blessings till the end of the round, so they convert back to curses before you can play Word of Radiance. So that's kind of a nombo there, unless you're a troll.
Wait, they convert back to curses?
Well, so I was
before the
that
following
they would
mythos
still be
phase, you mean?
blessings,
Yeah.
when you used Word of Radiance, so at least you could say, oh, well, I did some good. I created these curses, but they became blessings, and I used those to cancel something. But they're going to be converted back to, I guess you could
you could play this you could play Tides of Fate at the start of the next round, because that's the time that you can play it. So that's actually like, sure, yeah.
So you
can
do
promise
a bunch
of
of
power
promises of power on your turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I guess you do Tides of Fate at the beginning of the next round, and then you cancel stuff with Word of Radiance, and then hopefully you win that turn. Because you're about to get a lot of curses.
Yeah. Huh, this is interesting. Okay, so it seems like Guardians have been all about blessings, Rogues and Seekers have been all about curses. Mystics are somewhere in between. Do you think that
I was anticipating them being maybe the most curse-heavy faction, but I can also kind of see, I guess, that they manipulate things. They turn the bad into good.
Yeah, I mean, they do have the most blessed investigator in Mateo, so
Yeah.
I guess this makes sense, and I'm guessing that survivors also bless the bag then, so that you have like 2.5 doing each. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I guess survivors. I mean, they do have the cursed grizzly totem, but
they have things like Eucatastrophe.
Yeah. So
that are blessed. So yeah, I guess so that's it for the Innsmouth Mystic segment. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I think Dexter's strong. As I said, I do feel like you probably want to find some synergy with Rogues for him to be much better than Akachi, but I mean Akachi's already very good. So
I didn't feel like almost any of these Mystic cards went well with Dexter, which is interesting.
Yeah, there's no new charge assets.
Right. Yeah, no new charge assets. The Sword Cane is like fine with Dexter, and thematically seems like something a magician might have, but is not incredible with Dexter. I don't think would necessarily make the cut in all his decks. Then again, we've seen some rogue cards like Faustian Bargain that put curses in the bag. So maybe there is a build where he ends up playing Tides of Fate because he's put a bunch of curses into the bag with rogue cards and Promise of Power.
Yep. He also can play Dark Ritual to seal those, I guess. If he discards Dark Ritual,
they would go back in the bag.
Curses go back in, yeah.
And cheap assets with him, like Dark Ritual, I think costs 1 and then provides a discount if you do discard it from play. So it's practically free for him for a short period of time. It had that 1 resource per turn upkeep.
Yeah.
But I do think he'll like cheap assets a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, yeah, it might make the cut. It's hard to see him using arcane slots on that though. I don't know.
Yeah, I almost wonder if full play even things like Sign Magic. Maybe that card's kind of overpriced, but maybe with cards like Lone Wolf, we'll be able to afford it.
Sure, and he gets a discount on it if you sub something else out. Yeah, interesting thought. Okay, well, we'll be back soon to hopefully find one more blessed class, because I'm feeling like we were a little heavy on the curses so far this box.
Oh, I have one more magic trick. My girlfriend made Jello shots. These are homemade Jello shots. So I'm gonna make one of these disappear right now. So, all right, down the hatch.
That's quite a trick. Also, how dare you not share with me? And B, what kind of dork eats a Jello shot with a spoon?
They're like very stuck in.
Yeah.
So you kind of need the spoon.
I guess so. Every party I've ever been to, you like use your finger, but I guess no one wants to watch you do that. So that makes sense. Well, I should have cheersed before you down the shot, but cheers. That's the perfect note to end on. We'd appreciate you liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and coming back again soon when we're talking survivors from Innsmouth. Until then, be optimal.